Hi, hello, hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good and the bad, the concerning and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimi, our passionate heart,
Yeah, yeah.
and me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. So we have a new week. It's been a little bit summertime. It's harder to coordinate schedules, but we're here and we're doing our best to make sure that we're getting episodes as soon as possible to you guys.
Yes.
So we're back. Summer's here, and we'll just jump right into it. With the checkup. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing okay. I can't complain. Um, but here in Ontario, we're going through it. We're going through it
Ooh,
up here.
ooh, it's a sore spot. Yep.
Yeah, it is. But other than, dealing with that and, I can't complain. We're alive, we're well, we're doing the damn thing. So how about you? How about you? How you doing?
Okay, I'm pretty good. Trudging along and trying to make the best out of summer, and
Yeah.
that's all we can ask for. And the wedding is coming down, barbecue's coming down, all types
Yeah.
of fun stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll say okay, doing all right.
That's good. That's good. You know? Sometimes no news is good news. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so seems like we're
All in all is okay.
all in all is good. We're making it through, and that's wonderful.
Right?
So I guess we'll jump into the headlines, and so the first thing, which you kind of alluded to, was the weather here in Toronto, which
Hmm.
was affected by a lot of wildfires that are happening in the Quebec area, Ottawa area, I believe. And it's interesting because the city that was most affected and who was cursing out Canada's name was New York City,
Okay.
because um,
Because we control the air, don't you know?
it's interesting. It's just a lack of what's the word? A lack of knowledge.
Edumacation. That's what it is.
No,
Edumacations.
on
Okay?
geography. Yes, on geography. Some geography lessons might have been needed, but pretty much the fires that were going on for a while. But on the middle of this week, on Tuesday, Wednesday, it was so bad in New York, and Toronto had it. I guess Toronto had it, but no. When I saw the photos in New York, it was like Toronto didn't have nothing going on, like compared to that. Like the air was bad. We had weather warnings, and in the morning when I was going to work and I didn't hear the news, I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, it looked cloudy. It looked
Mm-hmm.
like, I was just like, oh, it's a cloudy day. And at first I was in my car driving, and I usually have the window down, and I was like, why am I coughing? Like I was like I was like, when you have like
Mm-hmm.
your throat is tickling,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't really haven't been sick, but maybe the air conditioning in my home, maybe I have a little something something coming. But it didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of cough. It did kind of feel like your throat's irritated, or like your lungs are irritated type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it wasn't until I was on the train and kind of going through my news feed, and they said, oh, there's like this, the whole weather warning has to do with the smoke from the fires, and that's why the city is kind of dark and that smoky. The smokiness was there. I mean, I did catch a hint of it, but to be honest, the way people are talking about, I didn't like. I mean, I'm not that sensitive, so I was just more, the only way I knew was like the smoke, and then when I figured it was like, okay, I could pick up a little bit of smokiness, but nothing, not enough for me to be like worried. And it was just in when I
Mm-hmm.
was in my car where it was really affecting me. But when I was walking to work, no problem. And then one of my coworkers in New York City messaged me, "Oh, you're in Canada. Are you guys getting a thing? They let us off from work." And
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, well, it's bad, but I'm indoor. Being indoors, it's not really affecting me, right? I didn't
Right.
feel any type
Mm-hmm.
of. But then later in the day, when I saw the photos in New York, it was all yellow, and I was like, damn, that's pretty much what the world's probably gonna look like in like 30 years, if you really think about it. Which is kind
Right. Well,
of.
my experience was kind of funny to me because
Mhm.
Monday morning is like a hustle and a grind for me. So it's
Mhm.
like my mind is so far from the weather. As long as it's not raining and snowing,
Yeah.
I don't really keep like, which I should get in the habit of, track of like the air quality and stuff like that. I
Mm,
really
mm,
don't. So went about my business, went on to work. I had to work in the office and took my daughter to school. It wasn't until lunchtime came. I forgot my lunch at home, so I had to go out and get lunch. So I'm standing at the elevator, and this woman, there's a suite that's on the same floor as us, and they're new to the building. And we're standing there, and I'm like, oh, the weather it's getting better outside. She's like, oh, really? Oh, the smoke is gone? And I was like, what do you mean smoke where? Like, what
mm,
we talking about, Willis? And so she's like, she goes, you didn't hear about the smoke that's coming from Ottawa and Nova Scotia? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? So me, like a doofus, I go outside and I'm looking around for big fire. She's like, no, the smoke is coming from that way. So anyway, because we were walking the same route, we everybody goes to the same place for their lunch, right? And so it was the girl who who let me know what was going on. And when I did actually go outside, I could smell that it smelled like a campfire.
mm.
That's the best way to describe it. It smelled like a campfire, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like it wasn't clear. It wasn't
Mm,
like a clear day,
mhm,
I could see it after a while, like after thinking about it. And then when I got back up to the office in our suite, I looked out and I was like, yeah, it is cloudy. Like you can see that it's not a genuine cloudy. Like
mm,
it's you know what I
uh,
mean? Like you can see that there's smoke coming this way. So
mm,
anyway, then I go into the news now because now I'm really interested in finding out more, and I'm hearing what's going on. The one thing that I will say about this that doesn't sit right with me is that the media is trying to push it off as, this is nature and, global warming and all of this jazz, right?
yeah. Mhm,
But I find that hard to believe because I don't understand how there are multiple fires happening at the exact same time at different parts of Canada. That's something that
what what I,
doesn't
what
make
would
sense to me because a
what I was
wildfire would
mhm,
start in a particular area and then they would be able to contain it. It just
mhm,
seems like all at the same time there's wildfires going right across Canada. Then I started to, do some digging, and they're saying that it's arson, that it's not actually a wildfire, that it wasn't started by nature, and that people are actually setting a fire in the woods and stuff like that in different parts of Canada. So I don't know what it is. All I
yeah.
know is that it uh, it just started getting nice outside, like really and truly. It
Mm.
just started getting nice. Okay, well we can step outside a little bit. Really and truly, I want this to sort out. It needs to sort out
Yeah, I think
because
they took off the warning yet on
they
Friday.
did take
So
off the wording. But you know what? I'm very skeptical about the media. I'm very
mhm.
skeptical. I sometimes I feel like they tell us what we want to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But or they think that we want to hear. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of controversy that's going around these wildfires, and
Mhm,
I'm looking more into them. And I just it doesn't sit right with me what they're trying to portray this as. But either which way, sorry, New York. Okay, sorry. Like, what we supposed to do? What we supposed to
mm.
say? The air is the air. And further, I just want to acknowledge that New York had high smog and pollution in the
Before,
air
yeah,
way before this happened.
yeah,
I
but
think
really,
it's just added to it and it
yeah,
makes it worse. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But
Well, it's true, but honestly, we saw the photos. It was like Apocalypse 9 over there. Like,
yeah, no, I saw the no, yes, but we have to admit that New York has never been a
yeah,
great place
no,
for good quality air. I've
yeah,
been many a times over my lifetime, and it's always extra hot in the summertime because of the
yeah,
smog. It,
yes,
it you feel sticky and dirty by the time you get home because of the air quality. So, New York, sorry that I don't know, the world is turning and air flows. I don't know what they want us to say.
No, to
Um,
me, I took it in. It's like like anytime anything crazy in the world happens, the internet's gonna do the internet, But
yeah,
I
I know.
think to your point, the one thing I was gonna say, like you said, the arson thing. Well, I didn't see that, but I guess more to come. But I think the thing that was different is like West Coast is usually a West Coast thing in Vancouver, but the trend is it has been getting worse because last year in Vancouver, like a whole small town got burnt down because of the natural
But do you
fires in the West
notice
Coast.
when it
But the thing
happens,
that
though? When
mhm,
it happens, it's just a small town, or
yeah,
it's just it's in
it's
one particular area.
yeah, it's been getting worse, and that's the global warming part. That the weird part was Quebec. I don't know Quebec to be a place to get that. Like West Coast, always like California, British Columbia, that is normal. But
Even
for
Edmonton, Alberta, like
like,
around those where there's a lot of open land, then I
mm,
can kind of understand it better.
mm.
But I don't know. Anyway, either which
Yes.
way, we are right over here. We're hoping that the air quality can pick up back real soon. um
Hmm.
but everybody pray for us here in Canada. We're not intentionally sending no bad vibe over this all. Just
Yeah,
pray
it's
for we.
nature, everybody.
Thanks.
It's nature. We need. Okay, so we'll move on to another quick local thing. Is just want to talk about it. Make sure we are from Toronto. We record from Toronto, born and raised in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
and
See
this is
that
where.
old. Mm-hmm. Go
Yes,
on.
ma'am. And so just want to call out locally what's going on here is we are having because we talked about Mayor Tory stepping down because he had an extramarital affair on some of our
Mm-hmm.
episodes. And now it's come to the time where we get voting a new mayor. It's coming up. We had the early voting starting this week. And I think June 26th is the official day to vote. And so we have people listening. We need a new mayor in Toronto. And the thing is, when our last election, which is probably less than a year ago, when we did our
Mm-hmm.
revote and John Tory was voted back in, um, we didn't really have any other candidate. To be
Right?
honest, like I didn't see anybody really going up against the grain with John Tory, and I think because of the pandemic, and he was so visible during the pandemic, I don't really think there was anybody else to contend with him, because he did a decent job, I guess. It
He
was nobody was going to be perfect, but I think most people thought he did a positive job, right? Considering the circumstances. And now we roll now, and the voting is we have candidates. I was reading there are 102 candidates for the Toronto mayoral position.
Wow.
And for people listening who are not based in Canada or even in Ontario, a nuance that I want to like Toronto is the biggest city population wise in Canada. It
Yeah.
is the economic hub of the country. And so this mayor is just not no regular little diggy diggy
Right?
little this isn't any little regular mayor job. It's a big responsibility, and they are very close to the provincial and federal governments because Toronto is an economic hub for the country. And so who the mayor is very important, not just as
Yes.
a local Torontonian, but country wise. And anyway, long story short, I'm going to just come right out and say, I don't know what, like, I hate to see it. Like, the name that's been standing out for me from like when I was doing, trying to do a little scan before we kind of jumped on the podcast is Olivia Chow. Olivia Chow, and she's a former city councilor and NDP MP, and she's also the wife of a very popular politician here in Canada by the name of Jack Layton, who passed away
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago. But that relationship, he was a federal leader of another political party, and so she just has a lot of visibility and familiarity to me, at least. I know when I heard the name and I heard the voice, I know who Olivia Chow is. Another standout one, that's a name that I keep on hearing is Bradford. He's another big one that is a city councilor in East York and Toronto. So I don't know. I don't know their policies. But one thing I did want to talk about to call out here is outside of just sharing the dates and the importance of just people finding out who the candidates are. Like, I mean, 102, you're not going to look up everybody. Look up who the top five are, look what their platforms are, and make sure you just have an informed vote, everybody that's listening that is based in our city. But I think something I saw on Instagram from one of the candidates, there's a lawyer named Nia Singh, and it's a guy. I don't know. He has an interest. I think he's Caribbean. It's interesting because I believe he's Caribbean, maybe Guyanese or something, but he looks like he could be Ethiopian or East African or something like that. Anyway, he was very involved, kind of like that lawyer. Those African American lawyers who always kind of jump on big incidences and they always makes themselves visible in the media. He's kind of one of those
Mhm.
guys because that's how I came to know him. But anyway, I just saw on his page that there is a hosting of the black candidates, like a Zoom or something where uh, they were hosting all the black candidates plus Olivia Chow, which I thought was interesting. But I do think it makes sense that if Olivia Chow is like one of the forerunners, and then they should all the black candidates should have a chance to kind of have that debate and stuff going with everybody else, right? And so I was just trying to look up the black candidates for our listenership because, at the end of the day, you vote who's right for the role. But it's good
Mhm.
to see that there's increased visibility because
Yes,
you know, I know that that's important. That's a good, is
it's
there
very
somebody who's
important.
black who's right for the job? The two that I do know from community events and stuff is Mitzi Hunter. She is a MPP in the Scarborough Guildwood area. I think a lot of East people know her because she's run for MP. She's like, I would say a career politician. Nothing wrong with
Mhm.
that, but she's very much in the political world, Mitzi Hunter. And then Selena Caesar Chavez. I know her as well as she's very involved in the black community in the Durham region of our area, and so she is a former Scarborough Guildwood MPP, and then she's big community work. But anyway, I'll list. So there's Mitzi Hunter, Selena, then there's Chloe Brown, don't know her. Rob Davis, don't know him. Nia
Mhm.
Nia Singh, that told you, the lawyer who's kind of, he's like very jumps on a lot of events and political black issues and stuff.
Mhm.
Mark Sanders, who I was surprised to see Mark Sanders. If you remember him, he's a former police chief of Toronto, and he stepped
Mhm.
down because of illness. So I was shocked to
Mhm.
find out that he was running. That was very interesting to see
Mhm.
Mark Sanders, a former police chief, come back after he stepped down. But there was rumors that I don't know if he stepped down because of illness. Can you be the mayor? I don't know. And also, he was not one of those. He's one of those people like the current mayor of New York, where they're black, but their policies don't necessarily, you know what I mean, are
Yeah.
not necessarily in our favor. That's all.
Right.
I'll stop right there. Yeah. Did you have any thoughts on that, or have you looked up
What?
what's going on?
I have not looked up all the candidates. I'm just gonna be real. I ain't got time for that. So
Yep.
unless you stand out for me, and that you have to stand out, you have to stand out to me.
Yes.
And you have to be doing work already in the city,
Yep.
for me to even consider you.
Hmm.
It is nice that there is more visibility of Black people that are running,
Yes.
because I feel like we have a lot to offer this city, and so having a perspective of someone who is Black, um, it might actually be really helpful for the city. There are a lot of people here who are of a minority, so it might be really a great thing to see a minority leading as mayor, right?
Hmm.
And so these people, listen, I don't have time for 102 candidates about
That's
now. You
crazy. Yeah.
understand? It's
Yeah. Who's
nuts.
the
It's
top
crazy.
five?
Can we crack it down? But you know what? I'll be honest with you. I haven't been keeping up with this much.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
No worry.
haven't. This is probably one of the driest elections that I've ever experienced here in Canada. It's
Hmm.
so it just seems so drab and
Well,
dry. Like nobody is really. I
well,
don't know.
to your point, I can tell you right now. I was just looking it up as you're talking because it really just matters who the top five are. And
Good.
so um the top five are is Josh Matlow, don't know him. Mitzi Hunter, like I mentioned her. She's a one black candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia Chow, she is the leading one. Mark Saunders, that was a former police chief, and Anna Belao. So those are the top five candidates right
Yeah.
now.
Well, there's
Um,
there's Brad Bradford
oh
as
yeah,
well.
I've been hearing that name a lot, but
Yes.
yeah.
So for me, those are the top six.
Mhm.
Now, would it be awesome to see a black woman as mayor? That would be awesome.
That would
That
be
would be
awesome.
great.
But to be
But I'll
honest,
be to your point earlier. If
I
you
want the
don't have
right
the
person.
qualifications, if you can't do this, please go sit down someplace because we don't have time for people to come and jank up the place. We don't have time for it. So
Yeah.
if you don't have the qualifications, if you really can, if you don't not dedicated, because I will say, you know, the Mayor Tory, he
Mhm.
was definitely about this city.
He fought hard. He
He
ran
was
for
about this
the
city.
man has ran for every position.
Like
He
really and truly, like I must say, like overall, if I was to grade his report card, I would give him a solid C. There was stuff that
damn.
I
See,
didn't.
I thought
A
you were gonna give
C.
him a B.
Nah,
She.
boss, nah, fam. There was things where I was like, like especially with the COVID and everything, I felt like he could have. I don't know if he could have done much, but I just felt like not knowing. I felt like he didn't keep us in the loop enough. So he
Mhm.
dropped down from like a B minus to a C. But
Mhm.
overall, I think that's a pretty good grade for how long he lasted. And I'm sorry, you did have a marital affair. You should know better. And you were in a place of power. So you had to get knocked down to the C. So
Mhm.
overall, I think he did a pretty good job, and he kept this city together for a long time. Like, don't get it twisted. He was in the game for a while.
Yeah.
So it's sad that he had to go this way because his legacy is going to be tainted with an affair. Like, nah,
Hmm.
not really nice. But it would be nice to have somebody that had the same drive, ability, and actual care, because he did care. I
Yeah, I
will say
think
that.
that's there's one thing I feel that's lacking. Again, with I haven't like to Kim's point, I have not been super close to this, but I still feel like if there was somebody who was super passionate, I would know who that candidate is, and I feel like that's what's lacking. Like somebody who's like
Nobody's
passionate.
standing out to me.
Yeah.
Nobody is really. And to your point earlier, like, yes, we want someone with the abilities. But I'm sorry, I'm gonna support my black people all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. I'm gonna support them because we don't often get to be even in the space, you
Yeah,
know.
because in
So
reality, it's true. In reality, they probably won't win, but at least we want to boost their numbers, boost their confidence, like what's the word? Get the wheel going in that direction.
yes, I
Yeah.
agree. So for that, I'm sorry, I have to stand in solidarity whenever I see a black person, running for something. Like even Barack Obama, he's not even fully black, okay? But we
Mhm.
gonna claim him.
Mhm.
And I stood behind him, and unfortunately he didn't do half of what I expected him to do when he was in office. And so here in Canada, just to have, if you look at the candidates' pictures, what I do like to see is that there are minorities present. What's her name? Chow. She's I believe Chinese.
Mhm.
There's two black people that are in there. There's a white person. There's a white guy. Just to see diversity in the runnings. That really speaks to Canada on a whole, like Toronto specifically on a whole, like that there are minorities, and so it's nice to see it represented in the candidates. So
Yeah.
good luck, candidates. But I ain't watching shit. I'll find out at the end who won the game because to me, listen, I ain't got time for it. I'll just be honest. I'll just be honest. Every
It's
two
okay.
seconds we are run election around here, so okay. Every 2 minutes is an
Yeah.
election around here.
So we'll
So
see what happens there.
I'll find out with the rest of us, or you'll keep me updated. I know you will, Jeanette. So
Oh, I don't like you said. I'll know when. Like I'll do my best to vote, and I'll look at the result. Like that's it. That's where we're at
that's
right
all I
now.
could do. I'll vote, and then the one girl, and then put her down, and then I'm done.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. I think we spent a little longer than I thought, but
But that's
this
our
is
Canadian news, man.
yeah, this is
There's things
local.
popping up here too, not just wildfires and things. We have things going on, so we want to
Yeah.
talk about it. Hmm.
Okay, so we'll move on to the tragic story that's been a big headline over in the U.S. of a mother of three who was killed by a uh, white woman, race,
Racist white woman. Let's
race. I
put
was
it
the
out,
correct racist
please.
white woman,
Hmm.
um, over a dispute over just stupidness, and so I will be really quick in kind of breaking down the story, but essentially, like there was a history of, so I always am glad that sometimes you hear the stories of bad neighbors, and that would be really the worst case scenario, like having a bad neighbor. I remember a friend of mine, her and her mother, it was just her and her mother in the house, and they had neighbors who were just atrocious. And I was like, damn, I can't imagine, because you're not going to move because you have a bad neighbor, but it's also it's almost like, God damn, do I need to move? Like, that's how
Right?
bad
I
it is.
know.
And
I
so the
know.
story seems like one of those cases where you have a bad neighbor, and a racist one at that. So essentially, what led to this mother being shot and killed in Florida, was like the children were playing in a field somewhere around the lady's property. That seems like they're living in a small housing community. And I was like, was it her property? But I guess if they left, maybe it was. I don't know. So there's a field nearby, and the woman complained or whatever, and was carrying on a ruckus, and the family left. So the woman and her three kids left. Then one of the kids must have left their iPad on the lawn, like there, and so the kid went back to get it and maybe knocked on her. I think. I need to actually read this before I mess this up. Oh, this article doesn't have the identity, but from what I understand, the kids went back to ask for the iPad because a neighbor said the lady took it. Like, so everybody's kind of seeing what's going on, because if there's the lady's being ruckus about, the people on her lawn or whatever, her property supposedly, then everybody's kind of knowing what's going on. And then when the kids came and asked, got their iPad, the lady like hit them with an umbrella or something, or was being very aggressive with the kids. They're very young kids, right? So I don't know if they got the iPad back. I don't think so. And then so the kids must have went back and told the mom that the lady
No,
did.
from my understanding, sorry to correct you, but from my
Yeah, correct me. Yeah.
understanding, she hit one of like with her hand,
Hmm.
hit one of the woman's children
Hmm.
when they came to ask for the iPad.
Yes. Yes.
So, like, you put your hand on my child? Okay.
Yeah.
Go
She
on with the
yeah
story.
she hit
Hmm.
them and threw a pair of skates at them. So that,
Yeah.
if you've ever seen a pair of skates, it's heavy as shit. So even the idea of
It's a blade at a child. Yeah, that's what we're doing
um
now. Okay.
and so so there was a lot of aggressive, like there was a history of like back and forth with them, right? So we're focusing on the incident. So now one of the kids, now after the kid got pretty much assaulted by the woman, went home and told the mom what happened. So of course, any mother, if your
Damn
child has
right.
been physically abused by somebody, any stranger, particularly a stranger, you're gonna have some words. So the woman went over to not only probably have some words about the woman hitting her child, and let me not assume that, or just again try another attempt to getting back their iPad. Before, so she knocked on the door, and the shooter did not even open the door before shooting the woman and killing her dead, because it landed in her chest. It was a fatal shot, and her 10-year-old child was actually with her when she got shot. So we're lucky that the 10-year-old child didn't get hurt.
Right?
um so she never opened the door, she just shot the woman through her door. Who And it's crazy because this woman could have just call the police. This woman could have done everything than just shoot a, like, where do you like, we know why. I mean, like, maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's a stupid question for me to ask, but how racist do you need to be? I think I'm going to mix in a little bit of mental illness, because no rational, no matter how racist you are, a rational person doesn't do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say, just gonna have to stop you with that right there, because just simply being racist and not particularly liking a group of people because of the color of their skin is
That's
mental
insanity in
illness.
itself. Yeah,
It's
that's true. I
insanity in
agree.
itself, right? So
Mhm.
and one thing I want to do here is, I'm not gonna, you see, I'm having a problem with this mental illness thing, because I
Mm,
feel like mental illness is always thrown into the loop when, particularly, people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. This woman
mm,
was racist. She
yeah.
was annoying. She was
Mm,
harassing. She was deliberately being mean and cruel to this woman's children. And as a parent, she's lucky that she knocked on the door.
mm.
Okay? Because there are some parents that are a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like I am for my kid, who would have had their gun blaring. So you don't put your hand on my child and think that it's going to go down a okay. And obviously, she knew to herself that what she did was wrong and that the mother would be on her doorstep, because she approached the door not even to check. That's how confident she was that the woman would be there. And she shot her through the door.
Mm,
You tell me, why would you have even drawn a gun?
right?
Nobody can explain to me why this woman, who has a door that's closed, after physically assaulting these children, she damn well knew the mother was on her way. She
Mm-hmm.
damn well knew. And she got that gun with every intention to kill that woman.
Mm,
She had every intention. So miss me with that. And second, I find that I'm not going to put her in the category of, mental illness at all.
yeah, I agree with you.
Not even the
Yeah.
slightest,
Mm,
because this woman was a tyrant in these people's lives. These
yep.
people made several, not one or two, several calls to the police, asking and begging for help against this woman and her harassment. Now, do we just pick up and move because this old white woman, racist white woman, lives next door? No. They did what they were supposed to do. They called the police. They asked for help from the police and didn't get any. So
Nope.
the blood of this woman is on the hands of the police officers in that precinct, in that
Mm,
area, because nobody did nothing. And that could be said that there was another underlying racism going on, because why didn't you help that woman, the black woman who has these children? Why didn't you help her? Why is it that she has to feel like she has to, be a vigilante here and fight her own battles with this next door neighbor? Why wasn't the police there to help her? But yet the police and the police station and all of the, nobody wants to press charges on this woman in the very beginning. It wasn't
mm,
until outrage from the public that she was even charged. And then when they charged her, the charges were bogus,
mm.
bogus charge. Okay. And then now like, for me, this was, I'm going to be straight real. This was a white woman exerting her white privilege. She believed that a black woman should never live beside her with her children, and she was going to run her out that damn community, that damn neighborhood, whichever way she could.
Well, I
And
actually, mhm.
go on.
I noticed. I noticed we didn't say her name. The murderer's name is Susan Lorenz,
Yeah, because
58
she
years
ain't
old.
shit. Murderer is
And
good for me.
before we move on, she has, there was like a delay in their arrest. Okay, she finally got arrested. She was arrested and charged with manslaughter and a couple of assault, other minor charges.
But at first, what they tried to
She,
do,
mhm.
right, was say she shouldn't be charged because the lady was on her property and
Yes, they
that
did.
she has the right to bear arms and protect her family. But how can you do that if you don't even know who's on the other side of the door?
Yeah, like that's a bogus. Like to your point, that's bogus because this it can't be self defense if the lady she didn't even open the door. The woman was on the other side of the door. You were in the protection of your house, so there's no way in hell you can claim self defense when you're behind locked doors. All you
Thank
needed to
you.
do was stay behind closed doors and leave it at that. Call the police, whatever the fuck you want to do. But
So that's why I
unfortunately,
feel like she okay, when she was harassing this family, right? You get to know what would trigger a mother and her reaction. She's been harassing them, right? So she knew damn well that's why she got the gun in the first place. She knew damn well that mother was on her way. She knew
hmm
damn well that if she put her hands on this woman's children, which she did, because words are
hmm
one thing, but when you put your hand on my child, I have
yeah,
every right to come in
throwing
and
using umbrellas, throwing things at them. Yeah,
you should
no.
not be putting your hands on my children. Period. So she knew that I make this move, this mother is going to be on my doorstep. That's why she
hmm
drew for a gun. That's why she's using this excuse. How could you even know for sure that she was on the other half of the door? What if it was a police officer? What if it was a delivery man? What if it was your own family that came
What
to
if it was
visit?
what if it was one of the kids?
Like, come on. You have no idea of knowing that. However, she had a pretty good feeling that if she put her hand on this woman's children, this woman would show up at her doorstep. And any black woman out here, you damn well know you touch my youth, I'm coming for you. Period. And that family, you need to sue every blood clot somebody you come across. You understand? Start with
Yeah.
the damn precinct.
Yeah, so
That's
we're
where
gonna
you
move
need to
on.
start.
Yeah, I
I
think
just I get heated because in this
mhm,
situation, you want to be racist. Be racist in your house, in your
mm,
property. Stay over there. You can spew your nasty words, but the second that you feel like you are entitled to put your hands on people or to assault people, we have a problem. We have a problem.
mhm.
And the fact that nobody really came to the aid of this black woman and her family really rubs me the wrong way. But RIP for this woman.
Her name
And
is GK Owens. So
yes,
we're gonna
and
keep a eye out, and the woman who was arrested has since been released on $150,000 bond, which is
like,
not
what
cheap,
is
but
that?
still. So we're gonna keep an eye because we know there's a lot of nonsense gonna happen based on just everything that led up to even the shooting, like the police situation and everything. So we'll look out on
If
that.
she doesn't get life, there will be an uproar.
Oh, there's gonna be an uproar in
She needs to
that
get
place.
life. She needs to get sit
So
her ass down someplace. I'm sorry, I can't stand people like that. You can have your views, but you don't have to. You don't have to be violent. You don't have to be violent. You're choosing to be violent against children. What's wrong with you? Anyway, move on
yeah, so we'll
because
move
it's
on to
hitting
another
home.
courts, a new court case where
This dumbass
Tamara
Tory Lanez thing.
Tory Lanez again. He's fighting for his life, I guess.
He's
So
putting that money to use for them lawyers. He's putting it to use,
he
man.
already had a shitty. I think he had a shitty lawyer to begin with, but
Yeah, now he's like, listen, bro.
I don't know.
You
I don't know if he got a new lawyer or if it's the same lawyer. I don't know, but whatever. His prosecution, the defense team, I guess.
Yeah.
So he when they had their a first appeal, when they did their appeal, the judge kind of reiterated everything and pretty much said, we're not you're not getting this appeal. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. You committed the crime. You're going to be sentenced. And obviously they did not expect that in trying to go and say there's inconsistencies and blah 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 blah. But I mean, the case was, we heard the audio, we heard everything. I mean, as somebody on the outside and not legal, I feel like it was cut and dry. But I know with the law, there's always a lot of loopholes. But clearly,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have a strong enough case for this judge to grant them an appeal. And so, in a last ditch effort, now their team is trying to disqualify, has filed a motion to disqualify that judge who pretty much upheld the conviction that Tory received. And he's saying, citing that the judge favored the prosecution. And so the defense team gave multiple examples of the judge's partiality in the 2 day hearing, appeal hearing, and saying, conversely, the judge gave the people a full and fair opportunity to present the argument uninterrupted, even when the case cited by the people did not stand for the proposition that they advanced. So pretty much, I'm assuming that they're trying to say that, they gave, to me, I don't actually give examples of just partiality.
Well, they are definitely you know, last ditch effort.
Yes, very
Um
much last ditch effort because
they're
he's going to be
reaching,
sentenced. Yeah.
yeah, they're reaching. They're really reaching. Um Whether this will be successful, I don't think so.
No,
Tory Lanez has a lot of money, and these lawyers are working for that money, and
that's
they're
it.
trying to
They
pull
have
out
to.
from their ass wherever they can.
Mhm.
But ultimately, I don't see this going well for him. And
No.
you know, there comes a point where you have to stop and just accept the fact that you're going to jail and wrap your brain around that. And what you did was wrong. Like at this point, it's almost like you're trying to say that you didn't do any, like you shouldn't do time, or you shouldn't. You're trying
Yeah,
to
but
appeal, and you're
you
trying
never
to
act.
say that you didn't do something wrong. You did something wrong.
Yeah, and you never acted like somebody who felt like
No,
they
you
did
were
something
very
wrong.
boastful with your horrible actions. You were boastful. Like, how dare
And
you?
so now you're reaping you're
Well,
reaping
that's
that.
life. That's
And
life. So, I mean, I'm. This is kind of like I expected this, but
yeah,
I also think that he should like do some time and then appeal. You know,
yeah, it's too fresh. Yeah,
it's too fresh because now it
but
just
like,
feels like you're trying to fight the fact that you did something wrong. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you did
but
do something wrong, so you have to pay the
yeah,
time.
I
Sorry,
think.
bro.
Sorry, bro. So they said that the petition has not been addressed by the court and has not been noted if the court will look at it before Tory sentencing, which will be June 13th. It's not looking good.
Mhm.
I mean, as a human, I get you gotta fight for your life. If you have the money and the resources, you do that. But Tory, you had a chance long before this trial even came about to put yourself in a better situation, and you didn't.
I'll
You
tell you where Tori went wrong.
mhm.
Okay, and it was in the very beginning.
In the very
After
beginning.
it all happened, you went on social media and almost like you were bragging. The
Mhm.
court never looks at that in a good light. What you should have done is you should have humbled yourself and pled the alcohol. I was drunk. I didn't know what was happening.
Mhm.
I was outside of myself. But the fact
Yeah.
that after it happened, you went on social media and almost as though you were bragging. It was almost
Mhm.
as though you
That's
had
true.
the
I agree.
nerve to make
You had the
fun of the
nerve.
person that you shot.
Oh yeah.
So you were so now you can't plead the whole I'm drunk and all of that, because after it all happened, you obviously recalled it enough in your mind. So you were present enough in the moment. So, I think Tory from the get go, he thought that he was untouchable, like most celebrities think, is that
Mhm.
they can get out of it, and you know, they'll come out on the other side unscathed. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case for Tory. And so, Tory, you have to just take up your little sentence and go sit down. Because this right here, you're going to spend a lot of money on appeals. And if you were smart and you did have a good, uh, if your lawyer really had a strategy, they would say, okay, you got to do a year at the very least. You got to do a year, and we need to come back fresh with hopefully a different lawyer who will look at this. Sorry, not different lawyer, a different judge who will look at this from a different perspective, and maybe we should appeal then. You appealing now is almost like you trying to say that you feel like you didn't do anything wrong. When that is impossible, they're going to go back to social media. They're going to look at all the posts that you did. They're going to look
Mhm.
at what you said. They're going to look at the concert that you went to with what's his face, the baby, on stage with the baby, trying to throw jabs and shit. So, he, because he appeared at the baby's concert and he did, I think, a song or so, but in that short time in the concert, he was throwing jabs at Meg. You and the
Yeah,
baby was throwing jabs at Meg. Like, you really messed it up for yourself in the very beginning. Too bad, so sad. Do your time, stop the nonsense and wasting the court's time. Please and
yeah.
thanks.
Okay, so we'll go to our final news headline, and it has to do with the world boss, Vibes Cartel,
Vibes.
who's been he's a dancehall artist, big dancehall artist, even being behind bars since 2011. And he was in the headlines because people, his family and lawyers, were trying to make an appeal because he was in solitary lockdown in prison for I'm not sure why. He's there, and he actually has a few health conditions that are worsening in while being in solitary confinement. He's been on lockdown 23 hours a day for at least a week, from what I read, or from the article I'm reading. I don't
Mm.
know. I'm not sure if he's since been released, but I don't think so, to be honest, because people are still talking about it. Actually, I'm gonna look it up after if he's still. But anyways, yeah, and he has a heart condition and Graves' disease, which I did not know. And I think they believe he needs some surgery, maybe for the heart disease. So that a lot of people are pulling for him. This is a guy who's still making music from even from behind bars. He
Can you
records.
imagine?
I don't know. Like, I mean,
Big, big money too, big, big song him Depan and everything. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a lot of people are depending on him for like
Mm-hmm.
for their jobs in a sense at the end of the day, right? So I'm just looking up if he's actually has been released yet, because if he has like a heart problem, the Graves' disease, I'm not sure how much it's affecting, but at least a heart thing. If you're in solitary confinement, they say the ventilation isn't good. All those things are affect your health if you have any heart or breathing problems. And he's taking them to court to pursue legal action against them, for to get him out of solitary confinement. So actually, I'm not seeing anything saying that he's out. So he's still
Mm-mm.
in, and he's been in it since May 23rd. And as of this week, his lawyers are suing. They're suing the jail. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens
good luck
there.
with that.
Yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen there, but we're pulling for him. I mean, he is in jail for murder. I don't know the whole story there, but I mean, it looks like I feel like he did it based on what I know and what I've read. But at the very least, be humane and let him deal with his health issues before. Um, and the thing is, in Jamaica, if he dies because if God forbid, but if anything were to happen to him because of this, a lot of people, there will be an uproar in Jamaica.
They
There
will.
will be. There will be. That's the world boss. So
Pretty much.
yeah, so we'll see. Look, we'll keep an eye on it on this. Hopefully they can resolve that soon. And finally, I was just wanted to share for our music news portion,
Mm-hmm.
the BET award nominations, which are always
Mm-hmm.
they're always it's always interesting, and I feel like the nominations are usually okay, but the winners are always shifty. It's very like the BT Awards, how they vote. I don't know. It's like a big black wall guarded. I don't know what they do over there, but anyway, it's the culture, so we have to talk about the
Mm-hmm.
nominations. So I'll go through the top, not everything, but I think that like album of the year, artist of the year, and the main
Mm-hmm.
ones, and we can be done. So for the album of the year, they have Glorilla, okay, Chris Brown, okay, DJ Khaled, God did,
Mm-hmm.
Drake and 21 Savage, Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce, and SZA. And I'll have to say this is a good mix for me
Mm-hmm.
because it's a mix of the new and the hot,
Yes.
and there's and of the obvious, like they needed to be in this category.
Yes.
Like they needed to be in this category. And for me that is Kendrick, Beyonce, and SZA. All the other three are up in the air for me, but those other three, they like they had to be. Then so I'll do best male artist and best female artist, and then I will do best new artist, and then we'll just leave it. There's too many categories. So best male artist is the contenders are Blast. I only know one song from him, but it's a really good song. I don't know his whole album. Brent Fayez, Burna Boy, Chris Brown, Drake, The Weeknd, and Usher. Very random. I think this list is very random, but again, a good mix of old and new and
Mm-hmm.
different.
Artists, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, but I have to say, Brent Fayez and Blast, like Brent Fayez albums this album he just released was just okay. Before, like I'm a fan of him, but I don't know. Blast, I didn't even know he had an album. I know one song from him. Everybody else, they're classics, they're dependable. So
Mm-hmm.
if they put up
Yes.
music, they're always going to be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
And then best female, Ari Lennox, yes. Beyonce,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Final.
Coco
Put her up
Jones,
in the mix.
yes. Her is getting always gets nominated. I'm not gonna get into the politics, but fine. Her, Lizzo, yes. SZA, yes. Thames. I'm actually very happy with this list. I don't have
I am
any.
very happy. I feel like it's diverse.
Oh no, you know who's missing? Somebody's missing. Summer Walker, and I would take her out for Summer Walker.
Who?
I would. Summer Walker. I
No,
would
take
take
out who for Summer Walker?
her. You know that
Oh,
artist that
her. Right, right, right,
yeah.
right, right,
I
right,
would
right.
her
Yeah.
like her you done got everything already. Like girl, like and I don't know she had a
She's
album
really
this time.
talented though.
No, she is, very much so.
She's
Very
really
much so.
talented though. So no, but you know what? Summer Walker, she is talented
She had a
too.
year. Summer Walker
Sometimes
had a year. In the past year?
yeah, no, she did. This last year she really rocked it. She really did. Especially that last album that she dropped. Yeah, it did
Right?
her some no,
Right?
I must say Summer because I don't really like
Summer's
Summer. But Summer
Summer's missing.
Walker, her music is tight. Like I must say her music is good and it was her album that she dropped. It was an album that you had to listen to and it was a natural like as it progressed it did better. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
It's one of
Like
those when the more you listen to it, yes.
there's some
And I
albums
kinda
you
like
drop
that.
right away and they're like fire. Doesn't matter where they touch, right? They're just
But the
fire.
fire can burn, but things that are fire burn quickly.
That's the
And
thing. And
I
hers,
agree with your
she,
point.
yeah, she very much, it was something that her album did better with time.
Mm,
Like a fine wine. With age, with
I agree with you.
time, her album did better and better. I mean, I did like her album from the get go. From the first time I heard it, I was like,
Mhm,
yeah, okay. All right, all right. I didn't hear the entire album,
mhm.
but I heard many of her songs, which I thought, and many of her songs did well. Like they
They
could
did
have been
well.
singles. Like
That's
they
the
could have
key
been
point.
singles, you know?
No, like I think in terms of actual commercial success, that she's had very much a lot of commercial success. So I'm just surprised not to see her name. She was also snubbed at the Grammys, so I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, that is the BT Award nominations, and when the show
Yes.
comes on, we'll have our post-show review. But we'll chew on that for a while. So we'll move
Mm-hmm.
into our first segment for this week, and that is Wagwan for real.
Yes, Wagwan for real.
And this week we are talking about the wife or ex-wife, potentially going in that direction, of Derek Jackson, Danae Jackson. And Danae Jackson has had an interesting
Turn
couple
around.
of
Mhm.
years in general. And she quick storyline, she's Derek Jackson's wife, who was a relationship advice influencer, and then eventually,
AKA liar. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he was found out for cheating or something like that, and he did a video with
Danae.
with his wife, with Danae, and her appearance was like, it's basically explaining and kind of as a show of support. He had her just beside her, looking very interesting.
Disheveled.
She had a bonnet on.
Disheveled.
She didn't have a bra on. She looked like a
Nothing.
crushed. She looked like a woman who was crushed, but she was there. We saw it. She didn't need to tell us anything. We could see it on her. Anyway, fast forward. Now the relationship. Then she got a lot. She got attacked. Like, that video went viral for obvious reasons, and her appearance was attacked. The fact that she was there was attacked. He was like, the whole situation was just weird. And from then, following that, she finally, had enough sense, not sense, but she had some backlash after a while to those who criticized her for sticking beside her husband, criticized her for her appearance, everything. So, she went on and had a weird prayer
No,
calling.
that was a hex. That wasn't a
Yes.
prayer.
Okay,
She was trying to
yeah,
hex everybody.
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
my girl came on there with her crazy ass self trying to hex everybody, okay, and trying to throw, just evilness all over the place. And yeah, she definitely was disheveled in that video. She looked like a
Mhm.
woman that wasn't within herself, that she was almost like she was observing herself in that situation. She didn't seem like, I don't know, it's like blink twice if you're okay kind of thing, like
Yes, yes, yeah,
she was
yeah.
very, something wasn't right. But yeah. So what has
Yes.
Danae decided to do with herself now?
So leading up to that, I have to do the lead up. So she
Mm-hmm.
recently. So I told you she look. Every time we saw her, we were like, "Are you okay?" And so since then, she's recently did a podcast called it's called Dear Future Wifey, and it was a very sympathetic interview. The guy who hosted it was, very. I think he did a really good job, and I think a lot of people kind of came out of there thinking, okay, she seems like slightly in a better place. She kind of explained her story and kind of how she met Derek and how things were and where she's at now and kind of what she sees in her future. And she did kind of hint that she wanted to help people or women in her position. She hinted at that, but we didn't think it was going to be so soon. So again, the interview, she looked nice. Her skin was nice. She was done up, very eloquent, very good speaker. Of course, we know she was in the church, but very spiritual, which could go good or bad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and so anyway, within a week of that interview, everybody went viral. That interview went viral. Everybody's talking about it, like, oh wow, da da da. So it was like positive look for her. Not even a full week later,
Mm-hmm.
there's an announcement that she is going to be doing some courses.
Courses. Oh, here we
And
go.
so the course is that it's going to help victims of infidelity heal their broken hearts from past trauma. And it's called Healed, Infidelity Recovery Boot Camp. Interesting. It's supposed to teach people how to mend their emotional wounds from a bad relationship.
Hmm.
Some of So the highest package of this whole thing, there's obviously different tiers and ways that you can take this course. But
Mm-hmm.
everybody's quoting the $7,000. Everybody's like,
Yeah,
$7,000?
she has a nerve. Yeah. $7,000? She must be out
Seven
of her damn
thousand
mind.
dollars. So that's like the highest, I think, tier of the package. So for two payments of $495, call it almost $1,000, students will receive coaching from the relationship healer and gain access to Danae Jackson's self-guided bootcamp course that teaches people how to rebuild their life after infidelity. So one of the courses are called, I kid you not, here, people, listeners, Let's Be Real. I'll bust the windows out your car.
Oh my
Okay.
god. Here we go.
Sorry. Okay, that's one. Okay, another price tier is looking for more guidance. So that's a basic one, two payments. So call it $1,000. That's the basic level. So now if we go up another tier, this is like, call it $5,000. You can enroll in the Healed one-on-one coaching program that helps harmed lovers turn their pain into profit. So it's a course that's going to teach you how to do another course. Like that's if you pay attention. I'm leaned into what's going on the internet, and that's a new. I don't want to call it a scam, but that's a new thing, I guess, that people are trying to make money off is these online courses because all you need to
Mm-hmm.
do is build one
Everybody
course.
wants to do an online course because
Yes.
there's no real money in a lot of avenues of entertainment anymore. There really
Yeah.
isn't.
So that's a
So
new thing is a coursing because all you need to do is create one course, record it or whatever, and or create it, and that's it. You just sell it to whatever. But $5,000 for one on one with her, you Miss
please,
Maddie, Miss Head No Good,
please, this woman, she done lost her damn
okay.
sense for real, for real.
And
Um,
then yeah,
mm-hmm.
so here is why it's in the Wagwan for real
Please,
section because I personally think that Derek is behind this. I
mm-hmm.
think Derek is
Wouldn't be
still pulling.
surprised.
I feel like Derek is still pulling the puppet strings. One piece, if you watch the interview, and I think it's actually a really good interview. If listeners, if you haven't read it, or if you haven't listened to it or seen it on YouTube, I mean, do check it out. There are like there are. It was I left it looking at her in a positive light, even though and all those other weird things that she did was just obviously she was in a bad situation.
Right.
But I think the one thing I noticed is she never refers to Derek as her ex husband in that interview. She refers to him as her husband. Oh, listeners, one important point I forgot to mention. He was cheating on her. He brought shame on her with all of the scandal.
The entire time.
Wait, and at the end of the day, he was the one who sent the divorce papers.
Can you imagine?
Important point to
It is very
mention.
important. Very important.
And
It
so,
shows you
yes.
insight to what's really happening
So
here.
here's where my theory is, and a lot of people are thinking is I think, Derek's career and credibility was completely destroyed with the whole cheating scandal. How are your relationship girl and your relationship and you have not been a good husband? And
Right?
so I feel like now he's like, okay, that gig is up. So now behind the scenes, he's like now pulling the strings with his wife and trying a new thing. What do you think?
Well, yeah, okay. I'll answer that question before I go into how I feel about this, but I wouldn't be surprised. He's a narcissist. This is the way he was making his money. So if he can't do it, why don't you pull the strings, get your puppet out, and get rich that way. And I did want to say a few things about Danae. Now, first, Danae, I'm so sorry that this man was cheating on you and treating you the way that he was. However, in that interview, which I did watch, and she specifically chose that particular program and
Mhm.
podcast because it is, more of a Christian geared podcast. And
Yes.
so she went on that podcast, and it was nice to see that she's taking better care of herself and that she's putting herself together better, but it still felt very disingenuous. Like I didn't feel the genuine in it at all. I felt like it was very much of a business transaction. She's giving us all this information about what's happening with her and what's going on, and then, like you said, not even a week later, it was for a reason. I
Mhm.
remember when this woman was giving everybody hexes and, cussing everybody out who was just trying to help her. Now, how I feel about them as a couple, this man was cheating on you from the very beginning. Okay? And yes, although I feel sorry for you for that, you signed up for this. You signed up. You got married to him knowing that he was cheating on you while you were in college with him. You liked the fact that he was an extrovert, he was popular, he was a football player, he's very good looking. I'm not going to say that he's not. He's a very
Mhm.
attractive man, very well built,
Mhm.
okay? And you were down for the ride. You got married to him, kept cheating. He was cheating before, he kept cheating right through. And I don't know what you were expecting, but one disturbing comment that you made was that you knew the women's bodies of who he was cheating with better than your own. That to me said a lot of information. First, that you obviously feel poorly about yourself. Your self-esteem is down in the shits. Okay? And I'm saying all these things for a reason. Second, that you would allow yourself to be the to be consumed with these women that he is cheating with, where you are trying to be who they are. You wanted him to choose you. That was what she said in her interview. I wanted him to choose me. So I was doing all the things that she was seeing these other women doing. I find that to be on the verge of psychopathic. Sorry, I do. But it shows, it's a telltale sign that she was very insecure throughout their relationship. And the simple fact that this man is the one that had to file against you. He divorced you. He doesn't want nothing to do with you. Okay, he's the one that's leaving. That's very important. That shows your esteem was down in the dirt. When we saw that first video with you, you had the bonnet on, no bra, and all just disheveled all over the place. It was a true statement of who you are at that time and what was going on in your head and in your life. You were allowing this man to treat you like a puppet. You could see in that that posting, that like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But back
Hmm.
to my point with this woman, I don't want not one lick of advice from you. I'm
Well.
sorry, you are not the one. I'm sorry, darling. Yes, you've gotten through it, but the fact that you allowed it to go on, and the only reason why it stopped wasn't because of you, it stopped because of him, and got caught cheating, and the world found out, and he dropped you like hotcakes. So yes, I don't think it's a far-fetched idea. She was going along with it. She liked the lifestyle. She liked the fact that she had this handsome black man, making very successful at the time. She was going along with it all to the point where she was getting so lost in all that was happening that she was trying to find herself in other women. So miss me with the bullshit. I'm not taking no advice from someone who didn't even realize themselves what was happening. You didn't snap yourself out of this. Somebody else did. So why
Mm.
would I want to take your advice? I'm sorry. I'm glad you're healing, but you're not healed.
No,
I
absolutely
don't care
not.
what you want to say. Okay. Also, I wanted to mention their financial situation. So after his career started taking a tank, okay, their finances were not set, and she's made comments even in that interview
Hmm.
that she had to do what she had to do in order to pay her bills.
Okay.
Okay, so when you say Derek's in the background, I believe it 110%, and I believe that she is allowing him to use her as a puppet so that she can gain back the lifestyle that she is once familiar with. And so, a lot of people are willing to sell themselves for less. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. It would not surprise me. But what I will say about Derek, this is not your avenue. It's done. It's finished. It's over. Girlfriend, Danae, get a hold of yourself, girl. I don't know where you are, but wherever you are, you better pray to God that he helped to find you, because you leading a group or classes on how to heal, really?
Yes, it's kind of a joke.
It's a joke, but it's also a little concerning. It's a
Mm.
little concerning that you think that you're qualified to help other women to uh, heal, and you're not even healed. I don't know. That's scary. And furthermore, how the hell you gonna charge people $7,000? Listen, ma'am, you're not no Oprah. You're not no Gail King round here. Okay, I'm sorry. Be charging who listen, woman. No, okay, and it's what you're getting. It's not like you're getting a whole weekend's worth of her time where you get to go to brunches and lunches and seminars. No.
Do I want to have brunch with that character?
You're sitting down with this crazy ass woman who had the nerve to go on the internet, okay, and hex people. Listen, this lady has issues. She
Yep.
has issues. I wouldn't take that course if you paid me. I wouldn't do it. I'm sorry, I wouldn't do it because I think that she's still in the process of healing. And you can't heal others if you are not fully healed.
Yeah.
So, wagwan for real, Derek, come out of the back road and cut the string, yeah. Leave the girl alone. You don't see, say you've sabotaged this woman's her character, her being, her whole self. Like she just seems like a shell of a person, okay, because of you. Um, and I want to say one other thing about this to the world and to people who are listening. Don't ever allow a man to take that much of who you are. Because I don't know who Danae Jackson is. I know that she is very lost. She is following the wrong person and she needs to get a hold of herself. It's nice to see you put on some makeup and some lipstick and carry yourself like you're a human being. Okay? That's great. But at the end of the day, you're not fooling me. And anybody who pays 7 grand to sit down with this woman, you honestly, you should be evaluated. Okay? Because I don't understand how you would think this is okay. And if anybody does go, can you let us know if Derek was there, please, in the
Did you
back
feel
row?
Derek's presence in the background?
He's gonna be there. I could imagine. I could imagine. But yeah, Danae, you got there's something about her, Jeanette. I don't know what it is.
I'm sorry, but it's giving mental illness.
I don't know. The devil has a hold on that girl because let's just be real. She liked the lifestyle he was putting down. Okay, she liked the lifestyle. She's an introvert. You can see that. You know, he's an extrovert. And often people in that relationship dynamic, as the introvert, you're just happy to be around extroverts because
Yeah.
you naturally wouldn't, be the
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So, to be sociable and things like that. And so I think she was going along for the ride. And it shows because she didn't get off the ride, she was kicked off the ride. There's a difference. You
Mm-hmm.
were kicked off that ride, girl. Okay. He said, okay, enough is enough. Bye. And left you high and dry. You were willing to take years and years of this nonsense to the point where you were a shell of yourself. You were. But we're going to move on from Danae
Mm-hmm.
because, if you ever hear this podcast, Danae, I think you still need to heal a little bit. But for now, we're going to let you sit there with your $7,000 courses and classes. I really want to see how that goes. I'm going to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we're going to move on into the workouts.
Workout.
And so the workouts, the people who've been listening for a while, you know what a workout is. You know what the workout's about. But those who haven't, this is where we exercise our heart and our mental fitness. And we do deep dive discussions on issues that are impacting our culture. And so, one particular issue that has been hot right now in the medias is Jackie O, the death of Jackie O, which is DC Young Fly significant other. It wasn't his wife. They were not engaged as much as the media wants to push that. She was just his baby mama's significant other. They were in love, yes, but they were not married or any of that kind. So let's just put that out there. Because I noticed that the media's at first, oh, his significant, then, oh, they're engaged and all sorts of things. Um, that doesn't matter. That's not here nor there,
Mm,
because this young lady, young, beautiful lady, has died from plastic surgery.
mm.
Sad. It is a sad, sad case. Now I have to look up exactly what date, because I was a little unclear with it. I believe it was the 26th of May. I was hearing that she was pronounced dead, and
Oh, okay.
right. So it was a while ago, right?
Mm.
And so that plays a role. But anyhow, um, we want to talk about this particularly from different aspects of this whole scenario and situation. One aspect being, you think they're your friend until, right? And the other one being, karma is a bitch. It really is. And lastly, why did he let her do this? So we'll go deeper into that as we go through this workout. So first, we want to state the facts. So Jackie O went in for plastic surgery, and unfortunately, she died in the operating room. So there was complications, and she died. Now we come to find out later on that Jackie O had some underlying heart issues, which is believed to have caused her death. Right. And so the plastic surgeon, I forget his name. I have to look that up for everybody. But the plastic surgeon wasn't the best. Okay. This guy, from what I'm hearing, had like a 3 star. Okay. On the Googles. And unfortunately, she went into this, I guess, knowing about the doctor, and we really don't know what the particulars are behind the scenes. Um,
His name was Zachary Oka.
yes, yes. And so a lot of people have in Hollywood have gone to this particular doctor for plastic surgery, and a lot of people have complained.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on Google reviews and stuff like that, they've complained, and he's done quite a bit of botch jobs.
Yes.
So the question is now posed from many people on social media: why did DC Young Fly allow his baby mother, significant other, to go to this doctor? Now, my feeling on that is he can't. He doesn't allow anything. She's a grown ass
Yeah.
woman. She's gonna do
Yeah.
what she wants to
Exactly.
do. However, I feel like he didn't do his due diligence. He should have looked into the doctor. He should have done some extra research. And I feel like if he had gone to his woman and said, I really don't like this guy. I really have a funny feeling about this, or whatever, however he wanted to put it to her. I'll pay for it. Whatever you want. Just don't go to this guy. I feel as though she would have taken it into consideration. His opinion is obviously valuable to her. So I think she would have listened. Maybe she would have rethought it, or maybe booked another appointment for another time. But I think that's the extent of which he could have done. She was grown,
Mm.
and she has her own platform that she has to uphold. And in her mind, she felt as though she had to do these type of surgeries in order to stay current, in order to stay, for her platform to stay thriving. And it's sad that she thought she had to do this, but she's a very beautiful woman in itself. She has 3 children with DC Young Fly, and the last one I think is under the age of 1. And
Mm-hmm.
so, the baby fat, the fat that you gain from having a child and stuff. She wanted to do this mommy makeover. Yeah. Unfortunately, sad but true, she never made it out of the surgery room. What do you think about this, Jeanette? To this point here, before we move on with the other points, is, do you think he could have done anything?
First, I want to do a correction because I was reading while we were going through the incident, and it looks like she emergency workers were dispatched to assist her in a Miami hotel room, and
Oh, my bad.
then they sent her to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. But regardless, it was probably shortly after she had the surgery. But to your point about the DC Young Fly point, um, I again don't think he couldn't stop her. He wouldn't stop her. But I think like, here's the thing. I think it's at the end of the day, you have to remember DC Young Fly is a young man. Like, I think he's in his early 30s, right?
Yes.
And the average man, even though, like, I think a good point is, like, that's the mother of your child. You're not going to do that extra step. Go with her to the appointment. At the very least, I would have liked to known that he went to the consultation with
Mm-hmm.
her. I think if he went to the consultation with her, I would absolve him of every type of responsibility. And I
Mm-hmm.
still don't give him any responsibility because
Mm-hmm.
she decided to, it's her body and she decided to do this. Outside of all the regular pressures that every woman has, including, particularly, it's probably 10 times worse for her because at the end of the day, she made her money as an Instagram model or whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
in her appearance, whatever that the job looked like. A lot of her fame and, kind of where she was able to get herself famous in the
Mm-hmm.
social world, it does have to do with looks. So even 10 times more pressure than the average woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the only. I don't agree. I don't blame DC Young Fly at all. I don't think he owns anything. But the only thing I would have wished that he did, as her being, they live together. They're raising a family, 3 children together. I would have
Mm-hmm.
liked if he at least was in that consultation with her. But who knows? He's probably still wouldn't be able to. I don't know. Like you said, if he did the research and saw the Google reviews and said, I don't like these Google reviews, check some, you know what I mean? Check somebody else. Because most of the time, because she did a post, it's been deleted, but because she did a post that she was doing like announcing kind of like what was going on with that doctor, that tells me that she was promoting the doctor and the surgery was likely free. But we were talking about this. It's like, okay, I would have liked for him to look, if any of them, if not her, him, he'd be like, let me look up this
Right?
doctor. And then once you see, and it's clear, it's like there's even stories. He was sued by some of these patients and he
Yeah.
countersued them for defamation. So this is all new. These are things that you would see if you looked him
Yeah.
up.
And
Um,
just mention that there's a show and it's called Botched.
yo,
He's had
Lord.
several patients on that show.
Ooh.
Several patients
Mm,
that went on botched because of him. Just put that out there. But go on.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's really insensitive for people to look at DC Young Fly like that. I think at the end of the day, it's her body, it's her decision. She went out of
It is.
her way to do it.
I do believe that he could have had a stronger influence if he
I
had
would have
put
liked
in.
that. I would have. In an ideal world, I would really commend him for that. But at the end of the day, if he didn't, that's still, there's nothing wrong with that either. Because
Yeah.
it's like she has her autonomy over her body. Like
Yes,
at the
she
end of the
does.
day.
She does. And so I wanted to go into this other point that we were talking about. So Azealia Banks. So
Ooh,
here,
Lord, Azealia, Azealia.
Azealia, I need you to read the room. I need her to do it because it was poor timing. It was very poor
Very, very
timing.
bad. Mm-hmm.
So back I think maybe 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I do watch Wildin' Out. I've
Mm-hmm.
watched it from time to time. I was into it heavily at one point and then I kind of just fell
It's just
off.
one of those shows that it's like they can end it. It's like it's been on forever, but I guess it's still on, so people are watching it. So I guess
Because it's funny. It's funny and
yeah,
it's really creative
it's fun. It's a fun
and
show. Yeah.
a lot of the people who are on the show, they're like their freestyling skills are so on point. It's ridiculous because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them they're on stage and they on point with their comebacks or their raps or their whatever. And so Azealia was on the show, okay, and DC Young Fly, yes, he dissed her. He dissed her cold. He did.
Which is
She
the
looked
point of
like
the
an idiot.
show. Mm,
She looked like an idiot and she started crying,
mhm,
right? And now she's come back and said karma is a bitch. Like,
Woo.
look at what happened to you, your baby mother. It's good
Mm.
that she died.
I don't think she implied that it's good that she died, but
Well,
she implied it's karma. That's for sure.
she wasn't sad for the woman.
She wasn't sympathetic. No, she was
She
not.
wasn't at all.
No.
So, Azealia she's a funny character. That one, she's into the
Mm.
Bandulu business. She's
Mm-hmm.
into all sorts of things.
Voodoo,
Um,
all that stuff.
Voodoo, all sorts of things she into. Okay, Santeria, all sorts of things. And so she was
Mm.
coming at DC and saying, well, karma, and you got your karma, and
I can read exactly what she said,
yes, you can go ahead.
because
Mhm.
and after I read it, what I would like your POV is what he actually. You said you know the episode pretty well, because some people are just saying, "Oh, he called her ugly and he calls everybody ugly," but I think it was an amalgamation of everything. I mean, I don't want to get too deep in the show, because at the end of the day, regardless of how
It has
abused,
nothing to do with
it
Jackie.
was still 5 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? But anyway, so her post starts with, "Damn. DC Young Fly spent years disguising his own deeply rooted hatred of self as jokes pointed at women's beauty, projecting his own feelings about his own ugliness onto women perfectly secure in their own skin. Say what you want about my tears, they were pure tears of rage, and not at all a sign of weakness, because in the end, I won. I'm happy, I cried and moved on. That Jackie O girl must have been so deeply insecure about herself. And the nerve of DC to call such a gorgeous woman as Azealia Banks ugly on national television while a bunch of black people laughed. Um,
I can't even take you seriously. You're talking in the
I
third
don't
person. Like, stop.
I
I
don't
can't.
think anyone gets how much the press from that episode derailed the success of Anna Wintour, which is a single she was promoting at the time. I came to sing my song and go home, and only at the request of my label. Then the stupid Butch Queens on stage. Butch Queens is a term for masculine gay man. Behind me, basically making a mockery of it being a gay song, fake voguing behind me in their do rags like they aren't all raging homosexuals. That thorn in my side is finally out. No way in hell I was blessed with this many gifts, this much talent and beauty, to be a cultural punching bag for a cast of peons who wouldn't have a pot to piss on if they didn't have the court of social media addicts to gesture for. I do this in real life, dick lickers. And ironically, dead at 32, exactly on my 32nd birthday, May 31st, in Miami, Florida. You niggas are going to learn to stop fucking with me. So that's most of it. That's most of it. Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah,
And it,
Azealia, you know what? Honestly, there's times where Azealia has things to say,
mhm.
and
She
I
let
could,
me say listen, every listener, I know Azealia is just she's done a lot of bad things, wrong things, but I am a person who was like this girl's talent, but she has derailed her own career. But when she does say things, if you're listening, if you're really listening, points are made. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah, she does
Mhm.
make points, and she's very intelligent, and she's
Yes,
very
very much so.
crafty with her words, and
Mhm.
that's great. However, they're like venom.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what your words are,
She's
venom.
savage.
Okay, and I can get down with it when you're defending yourself or if you feel
Yes.
strongly about something. I get it, right? I do. But this woman had nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
She had nothing to do with you. She wasn't on stage making fun of you. You went to Wiling Out. You've never watched a Wiling Out episode before you took your ass on there? For real?
That's a
You
good
should
point.
have you should have had your words lined up.
Yeah, she needed to prepare for that.
Okay, you should have had them ready. But instead, I think what really happened was Azealia is a bit of a narcissist, just
Yes,
a
I
little bit.
agree. I
Okay.
agree with you.
And she felt like she was under attack because she was ill prepared, she was outnumbered, And unfortunately, she wasn't quick enough. And that's why I was saying earlier, in a part of this segment, was that you have to understand on Wilding Out, like the show, they're very talented. They're very crafty with their words. They're some of them are like machete guns with their words. Like they're very quick, they're very fast. It's a skill. Now, Azealia is talented, but in a different way. She's not a freestyler. So she should have been prepared for that episode. She should have been ready to go. She should have had stuff in her back pocket waiting to
Yeah.
go. But instead, she was outnumbered. She was pretty much, she got dissed. She got upset. She started crying. She looked like a punk and she came off the show. Now, how many years later, you see why it's never good to hold grudges? Because that has been festering into this woman. She said, it's like a thorn out of my side. What?
Mm.
Girl, let it go. It's not even
Let
that
it
serious.
go.
First of all, your music should never be, it shouldn't be reliant on a show like Wildin' Out.
Mm-hmm.
Your career, your abilities should never be reliant on a show like Wildin' Out.
She set the label, because personally I agree with you. Like brand wise, that is not the show. Like she makes music, I would say heavily, that is very like her biggest fan base, even though she can go in on them as well, is a gay community. The gay boys, because she does dance music. Yes, she's a hip
Yeah,
hop artist. She's actually a very good hip hop artist, but she's moved towards the more dance sound, which I
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
She's very good at it, so I don't mind it. But yeah, that's not the audience.
And she wasn't prepared.
Yeah,
We're not sitting here, sharing, different ideas on paper. No, these people, they're quick on their feet. They're quick on their feet. They have to be. That's a part of their job. And so you weren't prepared. So now let's fast forward 5 years. The thorn might have been out your side, but you could have just shut up.
you could have, but I think she did it on purpose. I think she
She
wanted
sure
the
did. But
she wanted the
I'm
attention.
hoping to see that you have an album following this type of attention.
Yes, please, because if you just otherwise it's really like,
You're
damn girl.
just a vindictive heifer and you need to go sit down someplace. And speaking of heifers, I'm
Mm,
going to go into the last part of this segment
yes.
here on talking about Jackie O. Now, before we go into Simone B, or B
Yeah.
Simone, sorry,
Mhm.
B Simone. I did want to say that, we need to understand as a society that surgeries are nothing to play with. They're nothing to play with. The simplest of surgeries, and this could happen where people die. So, women out here, if you must, because I know myself, I've always wanted a little lipo here and a little lipo there,
Yeah, me too.
right? And however, I've never done it, I've never gone that route. And so, if you're gonna do it, can you do your homework, please?
Mm.
Please do your homework. This is your body. This is what you're going to have for the rest of your life. You only get one. You can't exchange. You can't return. This is serious. You're going under the knife. You're being put to sleep. Your organs are being shut down and controlled by machines. It's nothing to play with. So let this be a cautionary tale for all those out here who want to do the mommy makeovers and the things. Please be aware. This kid, she's only 32.
You know
Okay?
what happened? And they're saying, mommy makeover can entail many. It's a lot of, it's a group of procedures, and to me, looking at it, it'd be safer to just do each of these procedures separately, right? So another thing is it the combination of multiple procedures? Typically, the standard one is a tummy tuck and breast augmentation, but they're saying it could be breast lift, liposuction, vaginal rejuvenation. It could be all four of those things. So that's a pretty scary thought.
Well,
Everybody.
right. And so with anesthesia, right? The
Oh, that's the main
patient
thing.
only stays under and asleep for so long. So when you have multiple things going on at the same time, the doctors are rushing. right? Like they're rushing through because they're racing the clock for when your body will naturally, like they have to wake you up. I think it's 8 hours that they'll have in total to keep you under. So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, they have to rush through. So when you have multiple things that they have to do, they're rushing through and they can hit an artery, they can hit a vein. You know, all I'm saying is to each their own, because it's your body, not mine. You know what I mean? Just do your homework. This is what this is showing us. She is not the first. She's
Mm.
not the first. Look what happened to Kanye's mom. I understand she was older. I get it. However, complications are complications with surgery. Surgery is not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am type of thing. It's a serious
Mm.
thing and we should take it seriously. And one thing that I take seriously is friends like B. Simone.
Mm.
Okay.
Hmm.
This woman calls herself a friend of Jackie O. Okay. Right. Now, this woman has passed away. She has left behind 3 children and a devastated partner. And she, B. Simone, is using her grief to get paid by subscribers. This woman has passed away, and B. Simone is jumping on the opportunity train. It's so sad. She's trying to get paid subscribers to talk about her grief with her close friend who has now passed away. If you ask me, B. Simone, she's a little grimy, she's a little dirty. There's something about her I don't like. I think that she is um a nice person overall, but whenever she sees an opportunity, she runs and dashes on that. And in this situation, I think it was really disgusting. I think her timing was off. I think the fact that this woman has died and you're focused on getting paid subscribers is kind of despicable. And so what do you think about B Simone and her antics with this situation with Jackie O?
Um, it really is going to take away from her credibility because when we were talking, I was saying I listened to her podcast, Know for Sure, with her friend, and there's a lot of spirituality that they talk about and introspective, and I really enjoy it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it makes me feel like, both of those people, B. Simone and Megan, like they are they have some type of, they're coming from a good place, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, this is just down and dirty. I'm sorry, this is even worse than Azalea, because at least Azalea has a reason to be
And
grimy.
she's straight real about
She's
it
bitter.
too.
She's straight bitter over this incident, right? But this is B. Simone. This is one of your good friends
That's
who
what
is
you
even on
said.
the podcast. And
Mm-hmm.
essentially, what is so disgusting is you're using your friend's death to profit, and it's very sickening to me, as you who are proclaiming that you are Christian and you're trying to get
Right?
closer to God, and then you're doing something so grimy. And essentially, the what she is doing is she has posted on her Instagram that she will be charging folks for basically going on her close friends on Instagram, because Instagram you could like, if you're paid, she's a content creator, so
Mm-hmm.
yes, you can have people that subscribe to you and support you, but I think maybe you can charge a little bit more for the close friends, subscribing to close friends. I don't know, but I'm very sickened and sad to hear that, because like, what kind of person, how greedy do you have to be to blatant, like she didn't even hide it, like she didn't even like,
No.
to me it was like, you I get it, girl, you need to make, this is how you make your money, with content, and this is content a lot of people will wanting to be seen, as gross as as gross as it sounds to say that, people are going to want to hear and see what you have to say. But you just straight point blank, you didn't sugarcoat it. Like, you just
Nada.
went in rough. Like, that's so nasty.
Just it shows a lot to her character and it shows a lot to her as a friend. You
Mhm.
know, you should be mourning this girl right now.
Yeah.
Not
So
worrying about money and
she pretty much,
ratings.
what started the kerfuffle. She posts on her stories, and she said, if you're not on my close friends, you're not going to see much of my life during this time. Of course, because she's grieving. Close friends, I love you. Thank you for being a safe place. So essentially being if you and then she put a link to her close friends. Like that was like it was so gross.
It's disgusting. I think, B. Simone has always crossed me as an opportunist, and I understand we should
Yeah,
all be a bit of
multiple
an opportunist,
incidences of
right?
that. Yeah.
We should all have a little bit of that in us, right? However, when she did her book, the book, it was this little paperback book that really and truly, it was nothing any different than what's on the market. It was poorly put together. She was just trying to get to her goal of being a millionaire. At that time, that's what she was pushing, was being a millionaire, as well as having, selling this book. I will say B. Simone has many hustles. She has many
Yes.
hustles,
Yeah.
right? So in this respect, did you really need to hustle this? Like, did you really? Your podcast is doing relatively well. You have all these different streams of income. Was it really that necessary for you to do that? I don't think so. I don't think so. She does cross me as an opportunist to the point where she'll walk over anybody. She'll walk over anybody if you let her. And this kind of speaks to that. I think it's disturbing that you would do that, especially the girl just died, bro. Like, she just died,
Yeah.
Come on. Like, your mind as a friend shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Like, you should be so taken back by the fact that she passed away. You should be calling her family, and supposedly they were close friends, but I truly believe in Hollywood there are no friends.
Yeah.
There really are no friends. There's just opportunities that are waiting to happen. And in this situation, that's exactly what she did. She was very opportunistic in this case. I will say, RIP to Jackie O, and my deepest condolences to her family. DC Young Fly, you're gonna have these babies on your hands, and I know you'll do right by those kids for their mother who's passed away. Those poor babies, especially the last one, is not even gonna know the mother, under a year old, right? So with all that said, when we're thinking about doing things with our bodies, people, be very sure. Be 100% sure. All your boxes need to be ticked off. You know what I'm saying? It's a requirement. You gotta make sure. And I hope that we all learn from this. And for people like Azealia Banks, this is not her fight. That fight's with DC Young Fly. Go deal with him, okay? This woman had nothing to do with it. B. Simone, I wouldn't be your best friend if you paid me, okay? Because as soon as something par with me, you're gonna go on OnlyFans and do this and that and try to have different accounts and get money off of my grief and my pain. I'm not about that life. But we will wrap up the show now and say that love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself unconditionally. And then if you still feel like it's something that you really need to do, be smart about it. Be wise about it. Do your research. Don't walk into anything blindly. And so we hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show. So whether you leave with your heart or your mind, please stay passionate and thoughtful. We will talk soon. It's summertime, everybody out here. So, we're trying to enjoy a little bit of this weather, but we'll keep up with you guys real soon. And talk soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.